Good morning. It is so delightful to be here at this very early hour for my dear friend Michelle Lane. It is 9 a.m. my time, but it is only 7 a.m. Michelle's time. So, Michelle, thank you for getting your booty out of bed and coming and doing this live with me. I'm so excited. We are here to talk about why we personally love to retreat and why we create the retreats that we create. So, if you haven't met me yet, my name is Jen Kohler. I am a Reiki master teacher, I am a spiritual life coach, and a master numerologist. And this is my co-creator in life, my business bestie, Michelle Lane. Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself to us, friend?
Sure, business bestie. I love that. I too, Michelle Lane. Hello, everybody. I'm a spiritual life coach, master numerologist, which now we're kind of seeing where Jen and I have been traveling together for a while, an energy alchemist, and yeah, a retreat facilitator. This is going to be the sixth retreat, Jen, like our second one together, and six. Like I'm like, whoa, that's wild in the
Yeah.
last couple years.
This is
Um,
something Michelle is very good at, you guys. I feel like this is one of her massive fortes in life.
Thank you so much. I went on one once upon a time ago. I went and I gathered with 12 women I didn't know and challenged myself on a hike and to camp in the Sierras. And it changed my life. One, I didn't think I could do an 11-mile hike in the Sierras. And so making that all the way through, even in the hardest of times, it opened something up in me. But more so the moments that we shared when we come together as women, when the energy is together in these in-person events, it allowed me to experience myself differently than I do when I'm at home as a mom, as a business
Mhm.
owner. And it really expanded my mind to like, I started getting curious. What would it be like if I was to do a retreat? What would those end up being like? And like my heart just expanded and I got so excited about what I would create. And from that moment on, there's just been all these different experiences. As I've grown as a coach and a human, I welcome in more of those experiences too. But to be collaborating now, it's the best. It's just welcoming in all of these different aspects of experiencing yourself in a way that you won't do when you're home in your everyday life.
I love that you said that. I love exactly what you said. I feel the same way about going on retreats. It's like the first time I ever went on a retreat was with you, actually, and we
Yeah.
were both attending a retreat in Arizona, and I was like giddy, blissful. Those words are like don't even give it enough credit. Like how I felt going to that retreat. Like I'm an adventurous spirit. I love to adventure. And as a mama for the last 10 years, I haven't adventured nearly the same amount as I did when I was in my 20s and in my 30s. I'm a late mama. So to go and get my own rental car and then to like show up in the night like at this retreat and have you open the door and like all the giddiness and the giggles and the instantaneous connection that I felt. I mean, there's not enough words to like actually express that, you know?
Yeah, and, like, we've been together online for, at that moment, 3 years,
Mhm.
learning
Yeah.
and expanding, and so to love each other enough being online,
Yeah.
and then to actually be like, "I get to hug you," and be in
Yeah.
that moment, like, there's and to really get to know you,
Yeah.
to really
Right.
spend time having our coffee in the morning out on the porch or just staying up late and talking, like, that's priceless
Thanks
to me,
for
and
reminding me that I have coffee this morning.
right?
Hello.
Like, cold though. But those are the moments even now, like, we've gone on a couple other ones together, and those
Yeah.
are the moments I cherish the most, like, those
Yeah.
late night talks, those talks where we're
Snuggle in
just
bed, like,
yeah, just being in our own essence and, or being out in the pool when we're just, like, floating for
oh,
hours.
yes. So I
It's
made a list because I'm a listy kind of a human sometimes.
you
I'm a ruler
are.
number 4. So I made a list of like why I love retreating, and before we popped on this live, we were kind of just like moving through the list, and of course that activated Michelle to like really get excited and going. So I'm going to start to read some of the things off of my list about the reasons why I personally love to bring people together and to gather, and why I think this is something that we are so good at. Physically, like being in physical person with each other is so intimate, right? Like
Mm.
you don't have the computer screen, group programs, computer, online, all of that is brilliant. And the intimacy that we create when we are together physically, there's something that happens when you're physically in resonance with one another, right?
Mhm.
The vibration is so high. Um, One of the things that I wrote down, one of my favorite things is that when the vibration gets so high in the space that we create together, and the space, the people that come together is very intentional, the giggling is kind of out of this world.
Right?
Like,
And it moves emotion, it moves
yes,
stuckness.
yeah, it moves, it does, it moves energy very quickly. It transforms you, right?
Yeah. And I think too, like I was just thinking back to the conversations in circle, whether we're, pulling cards or going over, you and I have developed this beautiful way of pulling in numerology,
Mhm,
for each person to have their unique aspects of their
mhm,
personality codes, not even just on the basic, but like where you would deep dive into their charts and give them something of
mhm,
like super huge value to understand like this is where you are in your money, this is where you are in your relationship, this is where you are with all these aspects. And did you know that you are this extraordinary creature? Did you know that you have this available for you? But
yeah,
it expands the conversation,
mhm.
because then we start seeing likenesses in the people who've attended. We start to see like, oh, there's the commonality, there's the
That's
theme,
it.
right? Which
That's
is
it. That's what I wanted you to hit on right there,
yeah.
right what you just said. You said before we got on, when women gather, when people gather, when humans come together, we see more of how we are alike than how we are different.
Yeah. And that we're
Right?
not alone. And
Yeah.
that we can let that story go when we're willing to ask for help, when we're willing to give ourselves an experience beyond what we've experienced, when we're willing to say yes and put ourselves just outside that comfort zone
Mhm.
so we can realize that we've been who we've been waiting for all along. The world
Mhm.
doesn't have to change. We
Yeah.
we are the ones who get to have the experiences. We get to change. We
Yeah.
get to open and expand our perceptions of the world. And to me, like, unless you get yourself out of your four walls or your everyday
Mhm.
routine, you can get a little complacent.
Mhm.
And no judgment in that. It's just that, when you're a coach or a healer or an entrepreneur, you can get into routine really, really easily. And when
Mhm.
you're able to come together for 4 or 5 days, step away from the phone, step away from all the responsibilities, step away
Mhm.
from everything in your life, you get to literally be with you, and the world stops for a moment. It's like time stands still.
Mhm.
You get to just be so present in a way
Yeah.
that you're not usually able to access. Well, we all can access it, but we don't always land in that presence and that kind of way every single time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a mama and you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, or you're a coach, healer, et cetera, and you're
Mhm.
at home and you're with your 10-year-old or your 5-year-old or whatever that looks like, it, it, it's it's always they're always going to come first, which is
Right?
appropriate. And also, when you're building business or when you're like shifting and changing and transmuting things in your life, sometimes you need spaciousness. And so the greatest gift
Yeah.
for me of retreating is creating spaciousness. Like
Yeah.
being able to like wake up in the morning and know that I don't have like some big huge responsibility, and that
Yeah.
I can take responsibility for myself, and that feels so like the best gift that I've ever given to myself.
Absolutely. Let's talk about 2 things. Let's talk about, um, Lake Tahoe. La
Okay.
couple of what did we do? Like, November
2021.
2021. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then let's talk about Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
And And why the mountains? And, for me, like it's a love of the trees, just being amidst
Mm,
nature. There's
yeah,
something that happens when you spend time in
yeah,
nature. You
because
get
we
to
are
connect,
nature.
right? Because we are nature.
Yeah.
We are going to be, let me go, I'm going to go forward before I go backward. So we're going to be in the vortex of Mount Shasta, California, this beautiful Mother Mountain. There's just different energy there. It's just
Mhm,
beautiful. And so when we create that coming together, we create that vortex of healing, of the root of grounding ourselves
mhm,
really into the experience. And then we have this amplification of healing, of conversation, of love that comes through. And then we're by the water and we're in the trees. And so you
mhm.
get the best of both. And I know that you love the spaciousness. And where I was going with this is um, we have an agenda, but it's not something we're held to. It doesn't have to be at this time. But we love giving everybody enough space to have those conversations with each other, to go on walks, to
Yes.
connect, to get out, to take a walk around the lake. Like so many conversations happened, and we had so many women who like got to the next level of their business
Mhm.
by just being in these conversations. They had those aha moments of this is what I was missing. I can't tell you how many women I can think of 5 right now who went home, took their ideas and ran with them and then
And
expanded
took
their business.
massive action, right? Yeah.
They had super clarity because they gave themselves space from the noise to
Yes,
kind of
that's it.
go out,
That's
right?
it.
And
Yes.
I wanted to say, like, you and I in November, we had this beautiful house on top of the hill in Lake Tahoe, and we had every kind of weather possible. We had 70-degree days, we had rain, we had snow. So there were days where we're like, "Well, we're not going out today." And my most favorite memory was we all had, like, oracle cards, and we
Mhm,
just sat at this very long table, and we all just thought, "Let's give each other readings," right? And then
mhm.
we literally went through lunch and dinner, and 8 hours later, we are all still sitting at that table
Uh-huh.
in deep conversation
Yeah.
because we're just in that moment, and those are priceless unfoldings.
That
You
was
can't
my favorite day too, for sure, because
right?
it
You
was
can't make that
so
up. How are you
organic.
gonna take
The conversations were so organic, the card pulls were so prolific, like, it was just so profound, and I know that people had massive transformations in that moment, and that was my very favorite day because it was so, not expected.
yeah.
Everyone thought I mean, I think when you go on these things, you're like, "Okay, and that this time we're gonna take a hike, and then we're gonna do this, and
Yep.
this." And we just, like it was snowing outside, we, like, sat around the table, we had a big fire going, it was, like, my favorite, I love it.
It was
I love
awesome. It was
relaxing.
that moment I realized everybody's well, not everybody, but the people that we call in, they're like, they love the cards. They
Yeah,
would come gather at a retreat just to play with cards.
just to play with cards and hear numerology,
Eat
right? Like,
food.
let's hear about ourselves, let's talk about what we're what's in me that wants to come forward and, like, draw a card after card after card and, like, receive energy, right? I mean, it's, like, the
Right?
best.
Oh, it was the best. But then we actually did some energy work, which is really powerful too.
Yes.
We did, each morning we would gather and every retreat's different. And I think that's one of my other favorite things. It's like the people that gather, the places that we gather, the opportunities for what we can do in those spaces are always
Mhm.
expanding. And yeah, I just that's why I love retreats. I love to meet people, to be in their presence, to spend that time together and create those memories because I know they're going to walk away with what else is possible for me now that I've
Yeah,
given myself this
that's
time.
right.
What else is
Yeah.
possible?
What else is possible? Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
so good.
So let's talk about real fast, like, because we'll come back and do more lives. But where are we going? What are we doing? We're going to Mount Shasta in October. Yeah.
Yep. October 12th through
Um,
16th, we're going to be in
yeah.
Mount Shasta, right next door to Lake Siskiyou, which
Yeah.
is a beautiful lake, uh, full right plopped in the middle of trees, like the forest, which is really beautiful. So you open your door and you're there. And so it's just amazing.
Crisp mountain air. It's going to be fall. It's going to be gorgeous.
It's gonna be raining beautiful leaves is what it's
It's
gonna
going to be
be. Like, it's
beautiful.
my favorite time of year.
Me too.
And when there's this beautiful path that we'll take to go to the other side of the lake, and literally you walk, it's almost like a magical forest. It feels like it's just raining these beautiful colored leaves, and it's an experience to
Yeah.
just be in that essence. We're gonna have someone cooking all your meals. So we have some home cooked, beautiful meals. Tammy Stover's coming in to do that for us. And we're inviting in sound frequency to help amplify the space as well. So we're going to have nightly sound baths or sound frequency experiences outdoors under the stars. So imagine looking up, seeing the tips of the trees and the stars, and then having these beautiful moments to just be out. Like when you were a kid, you just lay on the grass, and just feel being outside. We're going to be having that as well. And we're going to be talking about some beautiful aspects of relationship with the wealth in our life, the abundance in our life, and where we might be feeling a little bit stuck, and where we can
Mhm.
move that through so we can go create mountains and have the impact that we want in our lives for our families and our clients and our businesses and all the things.
And we see this. We can see the frequency of where wealth wants to come into your life through your numerology. And so we bring something really unique to the conversation.
Mm,
We can see exactly the frequency that desires to come into your life so that you can meet wealth more clearly,
yeah.
right?
And let's talk about that too, because you and I are trained in Egyptian Book of Life numerology.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different, I guess, couple different kinds out there.
Mhm.
And sometimes numerology can be used as a party trick,
Yeah.
right?
This
And
is
which
not.
it's cool. There's really cool things that we can learn. But when we can dive into the depth of a human person's chart based off their birthday, there's so much to be revealed. There's so many blind spots that can be healed. There's so many patterns that can be transmuted into more of what we truly desire. But when we can see ourselves in that aspect and really open up to that um, cellular connection in our own
Mhm.
body of the truth of what that is,
Yes.
that's
It's life
turning.
altering. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it's
really
it's the greatest transformation I've experienced in my life is living my chart.
living our chart, yeah,
Yeah.
and, you and I talk almost weekly. This is usually our time when we're chatting, and
Yeah.
we go in and we look at each other's charts, and we're like, "What's up this week?" And then
Yep.
it's always these aha moments,
Mhm.
but when you're truly living by your chart, the great thing I love about the system and just learning it, one, it's the most divine, loving system I know,
Mhm.
like, right? Like, there's always some question about numerology, but it really is here to help us have an empowering, thriving life. At least that's how we
Oh, yeah, that's how I
it,
see it for
right?
sure. Yeah.
It's not outside of you. You're at will.
No.
It's a tool. It's a guidepost. It's accurate. It's like your astrology and all things rolled into one. It's the
Mhm.
basis of everything else. The pattern of numbers is really powerful. But when you can see yourself in exactly where you may be in the season,
Yes.
in these challenges, it's really easy to move through that so much
Yeah,
faster with
it
this
is. Yeah.
direct aspect of holy crud, that is exactly what's going on,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah. Beautifully said, friend.
thanks.
So, we want to invite you. We want to invite you to reach out to us, connect with us, and see if retreating with us is the right choice for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I really feel like you know, like there's and we're looking for those who are like, yes, please, I'm in,
yeah,
right?
ready,
That's how
ready
we
to do the
go.
work,
I don't
ready to
have
like
to
move
think about.
forward.
I just went over the weekend. I just went to a 3-day live event. I barely knew the person pulling it. I just knew I had to be
Mhm.
there. And I had realized when I said yes to this and I got on a plane and I traveled, all the
Mhm.
things that you said earlier was it like, I love the airport and I love getting the
Mhm.
car and I love like the whole
Me
thing
too.
up to it. And then like
Yeah.
having my suitcase and it's just a thing. But what I experienced from going, because I just knew and I just opened up to whatever was there for me.
Yeah.
Huge, huge transcendence through that. It's the same thing with the retreats.
Yeah.
So if you feel that pull, find a way,
Yeah.
get there, Say yes.
Absolutely.
You will never, ever regret it because you're
Yeah.
meant to be in the room.
Make it a priority. Make you a priority.
Absolutely.
That's how it feels to me.
All right, girl. Well, I think we'll come back
Okay.
many times, many
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes, we will definitely be doing this again. We'll be coming back talking about why we love retreats, what our retreats are all about, and we look forward to speaking with you again for sure.
Mm.
And I'm just going to plug myself real fast. I'm doing 21 days of free Reiki inside of the co-op community right now, and I'm
Awesome.
going to be going live in mere moments. So,
Sarah,
yeah, go
Sarah
ahead.
Williams is asking what city do we fly into? I'm going to put a link right
Yeah,
in
great.
this comment thread, and you can go to the bottom section with all the different airports so you can see which one's closest for you. I would say probably Medford, Oregon, or Sacramento, and then there'll be a bit of a drive on each one, but I have all that laid out inside the landing page. And so would love for you to either connect with me, but I for sure will put that link down below so you can see all the details. And
Yes,
we would love
Sarah, we
to
would
have you there,
love
Sarah.
to have you. That would be so amazing.
I think the three are Redding, California has a couple different kind of
Mhm.
carriers that come in, not as many, then Medford, Reno, Sacramento. So we're kind of like in the midst, right up the valley into the mountains from that aspect. So they're about the same drive time each way. Just depends on where you're located and where to
And
connect.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that sounds good to me. And then I think the one thing, Jen, before we go
Yeah,
is like there's a lot of things, and we listed them on the page, but what will they get out of coming? Like, what's the result that they're gonna experience from having been in this experience? And you will leave with more focus and clarity
yeah.
and understanding of yourself. You will leave having cleared what you walked in with that
Mhm,
was the heavy, and
mhm.
you will have an aspect of yourself that was opened, and you'll definitely leave with more heart opening,
Yeah,
which
I feel like people leave lighter and ready to create the life that they are here to live.
you'll be in
That's the
action by the time you go
transformation.
with the implementation that changes your life.
Yeah.
You won't be the same
Mhm.
leaving
No,
on Monday as you would when you came in on Thursday.
agreed.
All right.
Oh, thank you, everyone. We love you all so much. Thanks for being here, and we will see you again soon.